Hey guys, Spirit of the Law here. It's been a long time since the last one of these, where I answer some frequent comments, respond to interesting questions, or correct errors in recent videos. Starting things off, a frequent question lately is my take on Age of Empires Definitive Edition. For anyone who doesn't know, the first Age of Empires is being updated and re-released. I imagine at a minimum I'll do at least one video about it because I feel there's quite a bit of interest in that. So far there's only a few things we know about it for sure, like that it'll have an overhaul of the graphics and sound. I'm curious to play it, but honestly I haven't sat down to play the first Age of Empires game for fun in probably over 5 years, and that's not because of the graphics or music. In retrospect, after playing Age of Empires 2 a lot, I found the original game a bit clunky to go back to. In its original state, it's missing a lot of really nice features that I've gotten used to, like being able to reseed farms and actually having villagers start working automatically. There is a suggestion that some gameplay and quality of life improvements like that might be included, which I think would be important to bring over Age of Empires 2 players. Regardless of what exactly the changes are, I'd still like to do a video to show it to you guys when it's released, but don't necessarily expect civ overviews or anything like that. Well, maybe one on the Yamato, they're Japanese after all. Next up, over the last couple years, I've had various people suggesting I look into Patreon. I've been on the fence about this in the past, but I've decided I am going to start one for people who are able and happy to support the channel. There's really no pressure with it, I'll continue to make videos regardless of what happens with it. I understand lots of people aren't in a position where they're willing or able to pledge money, and those people should not feel guilty about that fact at all. I just want to put the option out there for people who have been asking and feel they want to give back. The only reward up there right now is that anyone who pledges $1 or more per month will get access to some videos before they're posted on YouTube. The link to that is in the description. Next, Patera6 left the comment that apparently rams can kill hunting wolves in one hit. I tried it out and it's completely true. Regular wolves only take 2 damage, but dire wolves are insta-killed as well as hunting wolves. With the hero unit, Ornlu the Wolf, we can see it's actually hit with 165 bonus damage, which is more than Battering Rams do against outposts. Camels may no longer be boats, but apparently some wolves are still buildings. Next, on the Samurai vs Champion video, Weston Richer was wondering about the valuation of gold compared to food. He points out that I rarely take that into account when talking about cost effectiveness, and instead tend to favor talking about total resources. I guess the answer is that properly weighting those two is a difficult thing to do and impossible to do in a way that everyone agrees with. For example, I tried to convert wood and food into gold during the Scorpion video, and I think that created some confusion and pushback. The relative value of gold changes a lot based on things like whether there's trade or if it's a water map. Wood can easily go up to 150 gold or more at the market on a map like Metropolis or Islands, for example, or completely bottom out by 30 minutes on a different map. I think one of the strengths of my videos is that I'm transparent about how I'm testing and calculating things. Ultimately, I think the videos still have value even if you end up disagreeing. On the resource issue specifically though, it's something I am trying to keep in mind, and I'll continue to play around with ideas for taking it into account. Antares31 on the Aztec multiplayer scenario video suggested that Catalonian Fields would be another good candidate for the same multiplayer overhaul. I completely agree with that, and I think some other good ones would be the Saladin level with the city under siege, or possibly the first Barbarossa mission. I would definitely try any of those maps if someone made them into balanced multiplayer versions. If you put one up on Steam, make sure you also link it as a comment in that video so other people can check it out. Now, a more general question I get sometimes is whether I'll play more Cities Skylines or any other game. That was sort of a special thing, and even though the reaction was better than I expected, I realized that Age of Empires is what the vast majority of people are here for. That being said, I do appreciate suggestions, and you're welcome to keep leaving those. Next, Kuma Roma threatened to make me watch a compilation of badly placed farms unless I upload more often. Of course, I gave in and posted 2 videos immediately afterward, so I got out of having to watch that. Still though, I think that's a great idea for a video, and clearly other people do too, so someone should get on that. Another comment had an interesting thought experiment about how well an all-tech civilization would rank among the others in the game. My feeling is they'd probably do quite well. In the early game, they'd basically be the Saracens and fall behind any civilization with a good economy bonus, but in the late game, they wouldn't just have every powerful unit like Siege Onager, Paladin, and Arbalest, but also every combination of powerful units you can get. I think that's why they'd be dangerous, but it would be interesting to see it play out. An interesting follow-up question is, what civilization would you pick if you had to play against an all-text opponent? I know what civilization I'd pick, and it's the same one I always do. Switching now to the spirit of the Flaw portion of the video. In the all-text video, people were wondering if I meant to suggest that Saracens get Imperial camels when you enable all-text. That was a mistake on my part. I'd meant to say Indians, who do get their Imperial camels in all-text. Saracens, though, definitely do not. I also suggested Britann archers would have less HP in all-text, but the Vietnamese HP bonus is only for archery range units. Now, sort of related to this, a popular comment on the Villager Gather Rate video was about the 2.5 in the formula. I think a few people were under the impression the 0.5 was from the half tile thing I'd mentioned. I do make plenty, but this time it wasn't a typo. I just jumped ahead and simplified the formula. What it's really saying here is that the time it takes to walk to the camp and back is the distance multiplied by 2.5. That's because villagers walk 0.8 tiles per second. So as an example, if they had to walk 4 tiles one way, you multiply that by 2.5 and you find out it takes them 10 seconds to do that. The whole half tile thing had to do with what number we're using for the distance. So if it looks like 4 tiles away, we should actually use the number 3.5. We'd then expect the walking time to be around 9 seconds, which is what we see. People who haven't watched the video probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but it was a common confusion which I probably contributed to in how I presented it. Switching now to the Wonders video, Chris Ned kindly reminded me that I only have 29 years left until the promised release date for Supremacy. Production is running a little behind schedule. The original director backed out, so we've brought in Michael Bay. He's asked to do some reshoots, and it's gone through the special effects budget a bit faster than I anticipated. I'm cautiously optimistic we'll still hit the original release date of July 19th, 2046. Maybe don't book that day off work quite yet though. Moving on, Tony G commented on one of the games I played against the hardest AI that I remind him of Bob Ross. And maybe a happy village right there with a few different houses. And some nice houses there, and maybe make a little wall around it. Okay, fair enough, I can see it. I do actually watch old Bob Ross videos while editing, and it's interesting how that manages to leak in sometimes. Finally, I just wanted to share something very cool that someone sent me that some of you guys might like. A couple of PhD students from Germany wrote a paper in the same vein as the Paladin upgrade series on the channel. It's quite short and very entertaining, with lots of pretty graphs and equations. In terms of mathematical rigor, I'd say it's a clear step beyond what I did in the series. If that sounds up your alley, I have a link in the description. But that'll do it for this one. I always enjoy reading your comments and messages, so keep them coming. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.